Okay, so ready to dive into some crazy iPhone rumors.
Always up for a good tech speculation session.
Right. So we're checking out this podcast. The iPhone 16, What's Left to Innovate, is from Tech Talkers. And let me tell you, they got some wild ideas.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, get this. They're talking about, like, hologram mode.
Hologram mode.
Yeah. Imagine, like, watching cat videos in 3D. It's pretty out there.
Hmm. Interesting. I mean, holograms have been just around the corner for decades now. But who knows? Maybe this time it's for real.
Maybe. But, I mean, is that something you'd actually use? I'm not so sure.
That's a big question, right? Is this actually solving a problem for people, or is it a gimmick to get you to buy a new phone?
Yeah, that's a good point. And then, like, they talked about this eternal battery, which supposedly lasts for 3 years on a single charge.
3 years? Come on, that's got to be a joke.
Right. I mean, battery tech has definitely gotten better, but 3 years, that seems like a bit of a stretch even for them.
It does. And honestly, even if it were possible, think about the environmental impact. Producing and disposing of batteries that last that long.
Yeah, that's true. I hadn't even thought about that.
It's easy to get caught up in the wow factor of these new features, but we got to think about the bigger picture.
Totally. And this one's, like, straight out of a sci-fi movie. Smart reflection mode.
Smart reflection mode. What's that?
So basically, it, like, analyzes your conversations
Yeah.
and tells you what you should have said, like in an argument or something.
Ah, so you always have the perfect comeback ready to go. Well, that's certainly something I could have used a few times.
Right. But I don't know, wouldn't that be kind of weird? Like relying on your phone to tell you what to say?
It is a bit odd, isn't it? And potentially problematic. I mean, are we going to stop thinking for ourselves altogether and just let our phones do the talking?
I mean, I already rely on my phone way too much. I can barely remember my own schedule without it.
Exactly. It's a slippery slope. We become too reliant on technology, and then what happens to our own critical thinking skills?
And then there's the whole thing about the price, which is, not exactly surprising, but they're joking about it costing as much as a small car.
Well, they're not far off, are they? I mean, the prices of these new phones are getting pretty ridiculous.
Seriously. It's
Yeah.
like, do we really need all these bells and whistles? Makes you kind of miss those old flip phones,
I
right?
know. Simple, durable, they just made calls, no constant pressure to upgrade.
Exactly. And you didn't have to worry about dropping them and cracking $1,000 screen.
It's like sometimes the simplest tools are the best. Do we really need all this extra stuff?
I don't know, it's a tough question. Like, there's some cool stuff in there, but at what cost?
Right. It's all about finding that balance. What adds value to your life and what's just hype.
For sure. Oh, and speaking of over the top, they threw out this idea of a 100x zoom camera.
100x zoom. Seriously, what would you even use that for?
They joked about, like, spying on your neighbor's dog, digging up your flower beds. I mean, that's some serious zoom power.
It is, but think about the privacy implications. Anyone could zoom in on you from miles away. Kind of creepy, right?
Definitely a little unsettling. I mean, technology is great, but we got to be careful.
Absolutely. There's always a flip side to these advancements.
Okay, so after all this speculation, they decide they're just going to wait for the iPhone 17, which is rumored to. Wait for it. Read minds.
Read minds. Really? That's a new one.
I know, right? I mean, it's obviously a joke, but it does make you wonder what crazy stuff they'll come up with next.
It's true. Technology is moving so fast, it's hard to even imagine what the future holds.
It is. So I guess that leaves us with a pretty big question for our listeners.
Yeah, what's that?
With all this new technology coming out all the time, how do you decide what's actually valuable and what's just, hype?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, it's easy to get swept up in all the excitement, but it's important to step back and ask yourself, does this actually make my life better? Or is it just another distraction?
Exactly. It's about finding the tech that serves you, not the other way around. And maybe, just maybe,